One of the most common questions that I get in estate planning consultations is, if my adult child dies before I do, should their inheritance go to their spouse or to their kids? And that's a great question. There's really no one size fits all answer, but there are a few things that you should keep in mind. I usually start by reminding the client that this isn't about whether they like their child's spouse or not. It's about protecting their family, avoiding unintended consequences, and making sure that your assets go to the people that you want to and they're used for the things that you want. I'll often ask my client, is their spouse financially stable? Are they working? Do they carry debt? Are they relying on this inheritance to put food on the table and make sure that the kids are able to get an education? Is the spouse genuinely in need of support, or would cutting them out entirely create a hardship? Or is that going to create family conflict? I'll also ask my clients whether their grandkids are minors. Are they young adults? Are they financially responsible? Do they have trouble with drugs, alcohol, handling money, divorcing spouses, lawsuits? Do they have any mental health issues? There's a whole host of reasons why you might not want to leave assets directly to a grandchild. And there are some ways that we can mitigate risk if it's not wise to leave the money directly to them. Should we set up a trust? Should we stagger distributions at different ages? Should we hire a professional trustee to manage the trust for their benefit? A 6-year-old and a 26-year-old need very different things in a trust. One solution that I like a lot and is often a good option for many of my clients is whether the surviving spouse is able to serve as the trustee for their kids. One of the benefits of doing it this way is that the money's still generally available to the spouse as long as it's being spent on the children. And we don't have to worry about that spouse getting remarried and either the inheritance being split or spent on things that my client wouldn't actually want them to be spent on. Ultimately, the spouse is going to have to manage this money for their kids. We can put guardrails in place. We can have a trust protector to make sure that the trustee is doing what they're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, it's often a good, cost-effective way to make sure that the money's available without being too available. It is worth noting that some of my clients feel very strongly that the money or the asset should stay in their bloodline. They think that the asset that they built during their lifetime should stay with their kids and their grandkids only. There is nothing wrong with that, but it needs to be clearly drafted and clearly explain what that means. But for some clients, that's exactly what they want. So for many of my clients, they ultimately decide that they want to either make the surviving spouse the trustee, a co-trustee with a neutral third party. They might hire a professional trustee like a trust company. They might have lifetime use or access for the spouse with the remainder to the grandkids. And they almost always will have very clear rules on distributions for the successor trustees. So if you have adult children or grandchildren, this is a conversation that we should have now before something happens, because a well-designed trust can solve these issues, but only if it's tailored for your family and what your wishes are.